I'm really happy to be here. And I love this topic because it's basic science of mind. And anytime I'm in basic science of mind, it just feels simple to me. It feels uplifting. So we're talking about cause and effect and infinite possibilities where we can empower ourselves to make conscious choices that open the door to infinite possibility through understanding and using cause and effect. Basic science of mind. I love it. I also looked up and I read these two ideas about cause and effect. So in excuse me, in psychology, the law of cause and effect asserts that every action has consequences. A profound reality where even small actions compound over time, demanding rigorous mindfulness regarding our habits, words, and decisions to deliberately shape and control our future directory. And the great law, as you sow, so shall you reap. Whatever we put out in the universe is what comes back to us. If what we want is happiness, peace, love, and friendship, then we should be happy, peaceful, loving, and a true friend. And I'm thinking about cause and effect, and reminded me when I worked in computers back in the day before AI, the computer did exactly what it was told. So the rule of thumb was garbage in, garbage out, cause and effect. And I think that's still relevant. If we have garbage thoughts, we're going to have garbage results. The challenge is to keep the good information, good thoughts, and sow what we want consistently. Get a tickle. But in science of mind, we teach that there is one infinite intelligence, one creative power in the universe. And this is where infinite possibility lies. This power that is God operates through law, which is also God. Law is the mechanism through which spirit expresses. And law, it's often described as mental law. It doesn't decide, judge, or choose. It simply responds. It receives an impression and produces a corresponding result. And Ernest Holmes described it this way: the law knows how to do everything, but it does not know what to do. That what comes from us. The cause is our thinking, believing, feeling, and embodied expectancy. The law brings that in, and we have effect, which is the condition, experience, or manifestation that follows. So law is what takes us from cause to effect. It's the working part of the creative process beyond anything we do. And it makes it happen. The universe is always creating, going from idea to form. And the cool part is we are an integral part of this process in our lives. The ultimate cause is spirit. All ideas and possibilities are already present in spirit. Our part is to become aware of an idea and expand it based on our unique understanding of life. And as we focus on the idea and give it thought and energy, we impress it on the law. The law responds, and the condition, experience, the new way of being manifests. It's cause to effect. You need to remember that one of the most important things to understand is that the law is neutral. Doesn't reward us for good thoughts or punish us for bad ones. It simply responds to what is consistently held in consciousness. It's kind of why blaming God or circumstances, it doesn't change anything. Bargaining with God doesn't change anything. The law isn't personal, but it is precise. So if we plant apple seeds in nature, we get apple trees. If we plant fearful beliefs, we get fearful outcomes. If we plant clarity, expectancy, and love, that's exactly what we get back. Whatever it is, that's what we get. And sometimes it's not good. And this is not about guilt or self-criticism. Knowing this, it's about empowerment. Because when we understand that law is neutral, we can change the effect by changing the cause. If we don't like what is happening, how we're feeling, or what we are experiencing, we can change our thoughts. We have the power to create the life we want, to have the things and experiences we desire by using the law. And another important piece, remember, is we are always participating in creation, whether it's consciously or unconsciously. We are always part of this process. And I think this is the reason I do all this inner work, because I want to uncover the unconscious beliefs that are creating the stuff I don't want. You know, I need to uncover those unconscious beliefs and habits that are causing these unwanted effects so that they can be neutralized. Because we know the cause is not just what we think occasionally, it's what we habitually accept as true. So these underlying beliefs are running the show until we get rid of them, because cause is formed through deep beliefs, emotional patterns, repeated inner conversations. If you catch yourself in an inner conversation that you've had many times, you need to get rid of it, because it's been implanted in the law so many times that you're creating things that show you that whatever you're telling yourself appears real. And we want to shift that. And the causes come from those unquestioned assumptions about life and ourselves and others. That's still that underlying belief pattern that we haven't looked at. For example, if someone believes life is a struggle, the law says yes, and life is a struggle. If someone believes I am supported by life, the law says yes. If someone believes I never get a break, the law still says yes. If everything happens for my good and it's all great, the law says yes. And we get that because the law always says yes. But it says yes to belief, not to transient desires. This is why wishing alone doesn't create the results. The law responds to conviction, not hope, to a belief kept in mind and embodied, not a passing desire. So how do we go from desire to belief? How do we keep what we desire foremost in our consciousness so we impress the law with conviction and consistency? So we are the cause that creates the effect we want. We're part of that process. And if we want it to happen, we've got to have those beliefs and thoughts. So we use our tools. We use our tools. And I know everyone has some that they prefer. I'm just going to touch on three. I'm starting with meditation and sitting in stillness, the silence. When we use that, It opens us up to the creative ideas of the universe, that possibility out there that's waiting to come into form for whoever wants it. So we choose from these ideas that come in the silence the attributes we want to create and live and keep in our mind. Spirit's always right there, waiting and ready to inspire and guide us. And it's always for us. And I really love the idea that I have in my consciousness that Spirit knows all about me, more than I know, and always wants the best for me. So when I take the time to sit and listen to that greater knowing, it's never wasted time. And yes, sometimes it's hard to sit still and come to it. But I'm always amazed at how effortless it can be when I just surrender and listen. I recently felt overwhelmed and not sure how to address a situation. And I had been going around and around in circles, getting more confused, and it just seemed to be compounding itself. And then it's like, oh, I can just sit still and listen. And I'm going, duh, Laura, you would think after this, all this time, I would think of this first, since it's never failed me. But in my humanness, I tend toward, and I can figure this out on my own attitude. I don't need help. I can do it all. And that's a habit and a way of being that separates me from my good. And I forget to ask. I forget to let Spirit help me and guide me. And when I was in this, I finally sat down and was like, whoa. It was amazing how quickly I got information that just relaxed me. The Spirit is ultimate cause, and that cause leads me to having the life and peace that I desire if I'll let it. But in those instances when I leave Spirit out of the process, I get my human effect, which is too often confusion and stress. And if you're like me, you don't need any more stress in your life. It's like a go-to thing. And it's like, no, it does not need to be stressful. So when something's up, or if you just want to be inspired, or you're looking for that new way of being, just meditate and let yourself be inspired. Because once we catch that, then we can get better into that creative process, because we know the law is always working and it will respond to the new dominant thoughts when you bring them in. And if we don't bring them in, it responds to the old limiting beliefs. So it behooves us to take time to get that inspiration from God to find out, what am I wanting to be? And allow the time to discover my desires and make them my dominant thoughts and feelings. So I've gone into meditation and I have this idea from the divine, this new idea that's going to enhance my life. And I want it to be a dominant belief, but how do I replace the old limiting beliefs and thoughts with the new expansive way I want to be? And I use another tool, something that keeps this new consciousness present in me. And it's a really simple tool. It's affirmations, because they help us keep our attention on what we desire, who we want to be, how we want to show up. They help us let the law know that what I want is what it is, so it can make it happen. The affirmation needs to be, I always learn these 4 P's: personal, precise, present tense, and powerful. Because an affirmation is a declaration of who we are in real time. Whether it's manifesting right now, it's who we aspire to be, and we want it known. And it's something that we say over and over until it's part of us, until we fully, completely believe it. I didn't like affirmations initially because I really had trouble with them. And I realized it's because I made them too complex. And I couldn't feel it and believe in it. But when I started to just use I am statements, it became much easier for me and it felt so much more powerful. And I tend to follow these I am statements with a yes, I am, just to tack on that additional confirmation. So, like right now, I want more joy in my life. So I am affirming, I am joyful. When I say that, I feel that joy. I am joyful. And I say, yes, I am. It sets it a little firmer in my mind because I know that it's not one and done, that affirmations are meant to be repeated over and over until they're embodied, until they're a part of us. And they need to express feeling to make that connection, that deeper connection with the law. And of course, here's our main tool, our go-to prayer, spiritual mind treatment. And looking at all this, and I am going, wow, spiritual mind treatment works because it works, but it also works because it follows the creative process consciously. It consciously follows the creative process. So, just in simple terms, we recognize spirit, we get the idea, we unify it, we accept the idea, choose that idea, we declare the truth, so we make the idea our own, make it present tense, feel our power behind it, and then we release it to the word, to the law, where it's going to happen. And then a bonus is, hey, we give thanks. We're putting more energy behind it in our gratitude because that's also putting it in present tense. And we know that treatment is not trying to change God. It's allowing God to change us by using the law of cause and effect. Treatment changes the thinker, and the thinker changes the experience. When we go through that process, we're changing our thought process, and those thoughts go into the law to change our experience. So our thoughts in a spiritual mind treatment, the cause, impress the law, set it in motion in the direction we want, and the law responds. And then the effect shows up. The one we desire shows up. When we're in that place and feeling that power, we have that creative process, cause and effect power. It's amazing what spirit creates when we're working in harmony with it, and that's part of spiritual mind treatment. This is the beauty of cause and effect, understanding how it works. Because with our understanding and the tools, we can direct and respond to life. And we're not at the mercy of effect, reacting to what's out there, and more often than not, creating more of what we don't want. When we know how cause and effects works, when we don't like what we see, we can change it. We can change our thought, put the law in motion, and watch the new effect happen. I know that I really like being able to respond instead of reacting. Responding feels powerful. If I'm reacting, I'm caught in effect. If I'm responding, I may notice effect, but I'm saying, whoa, no, 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 no. We're going to change that. Responding gives me that feeling of power. And that brings me to a very important aspect of cause and effect. I've said it a little bit, but it's feeling. Science of mind teaches that feeling is the glue that binds thought to law. Feeling is power. You can say an affirmation all day, but if it carries no emotional acceptance, that emotional charge, it has little creative power. I can say I'm joyful, but unless I feel it, it's just a word. And it has that word's impact, but it's not very strong. And it's gone as soon as the word has been spoken. At least it feels that way. But when I feel joyful, as I say I'm joyful, it feels like the feeling is still there after the word is spoken. So it's still impressing that cause, that desire on the law, and it keeps joyful in my consciousness longer. Ernest Holmes explains it's not the words that heal, but the consciousness behind them. And I think joyful is the consciousness. So as that is there, it's empowering my change. And, feeling it's not about forcing the emotion. It's about that inner agreement with what you are putting into that law. When thought and feeling align, law responds more rapidly. And this is the power of spiritual mind treatment and why prayer in Science of Mind is not begging. It's recognizing truth until it feels real. That's why we spend all that time being connected and knowing God and being one with it. And that time just really recognizing the truth, feeling it, embodying it. Because when we really believe something, we feel it. And you got to feel it when you use these tools for them to work well for you. And you got to remember cause and effect, the science of mind, it works all the time, not just when we're intentional. Now that's empowering. It's a little sobering because I can't claim victim of chance because I know that I'm a participant in creation. It's empowering because I'm participating. And understanding how I'm in this process and becoming aware of it gives me choice. I get to choose the life I want. I don't have to be stuck with what was based on something I learned back in first grade. Trust me, some of that stuff hangs on a long time. But we don't have to keep it. We get to be the cause with our thoughts and our feelings to make our lives well. When we become conscious of this process, we stop living by default and we begin living by design. The ultimate goal of science of mind, this idea of cause and effects, it's not control. It's conscious participation. We learn to live in the moment, in what we desire. We can ask questions. What am I agreeing with here? I had a very big wind blow there. What am I claiming as true? What kind of cause am I being today? Well, we're participating, recognizing what's going on, and choosing. And when we live in these questions, we can stop reacting to life and start co-creating with it. We can move from the unconscious creation to intentional living. The goal is not perfection, it's practice. Practicing and participating in the creative process from the big spiritual idea through our filters and what we desire to the amazing personal experience given to us as the law creates our reality. It's so simple, and how many times have I forgotten and just lived in the old stuff going, why is this still happening? It's like, well, duh, I'm still in the old stuff. So pay attention, know that you have that power to respond and to create, and let the law do the work for you. You'll have to do your part because Spirit will continue to say, these are the ideas you need to look at. These are the steps you need to take. But it's all still part of that process to bring you to where you want to be. So I want to close with two quotes. One is from Reverend Scott Aubrey. And he says, you are an artist and your life is the canvas, and your brushstrokes occur every time you focus on the law of cause and effect. The effects and circumstances we experience in the outer life have an inner cause, a belief system that has produced it, the belief system that we can create. And from Ernest Holmes, we are chemists in the laboratory of the infinite. What then shall we create? So whether artist or chemist, I invite you to play with this idea of cause and effect this week and see what you can create.